Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout southeast Louisiana and into the Florida Panhandle. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. The Pelicans' hopes for making the playoffs fading a bit now as they've fallen into the 10 spot and 3 full games out of the playoffs as we speak, with 12 games left after losing to the Clippers 107-100 at Staples Center yesterday, getting swept on the road trip. And Lenny, the excuses are real with all the injuries. They're definitively real. And at the same time, they had a real chance to win this game. But when you turn the ball over as much as they did and you don't defend well enough, despite shooting over 50%, you're going to lose.
Yeah, you're right. The injuries they're almost gotten to be uncanny. I mean, we get the news Thursday during shoot-around, first leg of the road trip, that Anthony Davis is, rolled his ankle during shoot-around. How that happens, who knows? But, he missed the first 2 games of the trip. They probably win at Phoenix with him. And the way that game was, that was a bizarre game on Thursday night, just so unlike anything we've seen really either one of those teams play this year, a 74-72 game that was lucky to get to that point in the score. Golden State, I'm not sure the Pelicans can beat Golden State in Oakland if they've got everyone healthy. Let's say that. But then again, a chance on Sunday against the Clippers. And, like I said, there's 12 games left. You're 3 games out. This is really the key week of the season right here. Oklahoma City's got to go on the road for several games. The Pelicans come at home for a week. If this is not, when we stand here next Monday morning doing our weekend review, if they're not within 1 game at best, then I think you could pretty much say that the month of April isn't going to mean an awful lot.
3 straight home games coming up against Houston. It all starts on Wednesday night, and they've got to make hay at home. And it's fair to say, since we're sitting here talking about the Pelicans' injuries, which are real and just terrible luck, that Oklahoma City's got the same problem. They've had to play without an enormous number of players over the entire season, and most recently too, but they're still winning. And that's largely due to the acquisition of Enes Kanter to go along with the incredible play of Russell Westbrook.
Exactly. I mean, Westbrook over the last month of the season has played at an MVP level. Is he the MVP of the league? He hasn't done it for the whole season. Now, granted, if he'd be doing that, what he's done the last month over the entire season, we wouldn't even have a debate right now of who the MVP is. That said, I mean, I think you got to look at an 82-game schedule when you start determining who the MVP of the league is. But for the month of March, when they hand out the monthly awards, and we've still got a few days left in March, I don't even know if there's going to be much of a vote on who the player of the month is for March.
Well, right now, if I had a vote, I'm going with Harden, Curry, Westbrook, Davis, James, in that order.
That's pretty strong 5. I'd take that starting 5 right now. Even if it means playing AD at the 5, I'd take that starting 5 right now.
All right, staying with basketball, of course, the Sweet 16 is now set on the college level. Villanova, a number 1 seed, went out. A couple of number 2s went out. So a pretty interesting weekend, to say the least. And I've still got 3 teams alive that were in my Final Four. Of course, the other was Iowa State, and they went out right away. So, Lenny, when you look at this past weekend, anything stand out in your mind? I certainly was impressed by about 2 or 3 things that I saw. Michigan State, first and foremost, Tom Izzo can really coach, and they're really good again. Obviously, Gonzaga looked really good. Duke, I thought, played extremely well.
As much as anything, you got to have players to get to this point. But March is about a couple of things. It's about guard play, and it's about coaching. This is not a coincidence that you see a lot of these same schools year after year after year back in the Sweet 16, because you got guys like Izzo, like Pitino, like Krzyzewski, like Calipari, go on down the line that know how to get it done at this time of year. Certainly they've got players. That's what got them in the field to begin with. But in a lot of cases they're beating teams that are, on paper better than them, and especially Michigan State over Virginia. That was certainly that. Yeah. Hey, look at the ACC right now. Mm-hmm. 5 of the remaining 16. Of course, they've got 28 teams in their league, so it's it's hard to, sheer numbers. It's interesting. You've got Louisville is now in the ACC playing NC State, of course, the traditional ACC team. They're playing at Syracuse, who, by the way, is another ACC team. So I wonder if that's ever happened before. Mm-hmm. It should be. It's going to be a fun weekend of basketball to watch. See who ends up in the Final Four, and of course, Kentucky trying to continue their run to perhaps 40-0 in a national title.
Yep, UCLA, NC State, maybe the teams that would have surprised the most at this point, and we look forward to seeing what transpires as it progresses. College baseball, LSU took 2 out of 3 from Arkansas, won the last 2. That's the hard way to do it, but their freshman pitchers came through and they hit the ball pretty well and stroked the long ball to win it on Saturday. Tulane loses 2 out of 3 out at Riverside, and they're 17-7, and the twain shall meet as the two hook up for the first time at Turchin Stadium, LSU and Tulane on Tuesday night.
Yeah, and it's a middle of the week game, but you know what? Give LSU credit for bouncing back. Obviously, on the road, you don't want to lose the first game of the series. This was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. The Thursday night game, they bounced back in a big way on Friday, and I think they had 21 hits and like 18 of them were singles. So they just really, they kind of singled Arkansas to death, as it were, and then coming back to bounce back and get the win on Saturday as well and close out the series. Tulane, tough. They're still, except with the exception of 2 innings, the 8th and the 9th inning of the Saturday game against Riverside, they're still having a hard time just scoring runs, it seems, at times. And, they scored, I think, 9 runs on the weekend, and 4 of them came in those last 2 innings to rally from a 5-2 deficit to get their 1 win of the series. And
sticking with baseball, our First NBC Bank Prep Showcase continues this week. On Tuesday, live at 4 p.m. on SportsNOLA.com. It's a really good matchup between 2 outstanding teams, and it's a rivalry, folks. John Curtis out in LaPlace to take on St. Charles Catholic. We look forward to that one.
Yep, Tuesday afternoon, 4 o'clock, right here live at SportsNOLA.com. If you miss it live, Wednesday afternoon, 5:30 on WHNO TV 20 as we continue to bring you the best in high school baseball in Southeast Louisiana.
Yeah, sure do look forward to it, and obviously we look forward to a great sports week. Nothing new to report on the Saints at this stage, but who knows?
Yeah, well, NFL meetings going on. A lot of things to watch for there. There's, a lot of these rules are going to get voted on. There's some interesting rules being proposed by the competition committee, for one. And the other thing is they're going to award compensatory draft picks. The Saints might end up learning whether they get another draft pick this week.
And by the way, football meetings going on, preliminary just discussions with schools, and Eddie Bonine, the new executive director of the LHSAA. And you can read my follow-up story on wrestling championships with Jim Ravanack and his comments. And he's scheduled to speak to Mr. Bonine today, too, about seeing if there's anything they can do to possibly arrest the development of moving the wrestling to Bossier City for 2016 and 2017.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, and we touched on it Thursday. It does not make a lot of sense. I mean, I understand you want to spread your championships around the state, and there are events that at certain times probably belong in North Louisiana. Wrestling, where 80% of your schools are from South Louisiana, isn't one of those. So, let's hope that some things get revisited and, calmer heads, if you will, prevail.
All right, that's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout the greater New Orleans area and into the Florida Panhandle as well. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. Lenny, as always, thanks. Have a great week.
All right, we'll see you later this week.
For Lenny, I'm Kenny. You have a great week as well, and God bless you.